Greetings. Let me adjust myself again. I had myself all perfect. And then the app like messed up on me and posted this public. This is just for us. Okay. Hello, hello, and welcome to this sister circle. Oh, there we go. It's a little better. I'm a host, sacred woman, Tahtahme, the sacred bruja, and I'm here to help facilitate us with hoodoo and sacred womanhood and bringing those two together to live our lives as modern women. So let me put on a little music, a little background music for us. Okay, let me see. I thought I had some music for us. Well, I'm figuring that out. Let's see. We're a little closer to on schedule today. I'm a little proud of ourselves. I've had such a crazy week. It was like, first, I paid just under what I was supposed to pay for my electricity bill. So they just shut the whole thing off. So that was like Wednesday or like Thursday. And then like Friday, the water heater stopped making hot water. It was like leaking. I just had a lot going on. So anyways, I was like, I'm just gonna put on my whites and just like make it a peaceful and like collect ourselves type of sister circle today. Sometimes you need that at the end of the week or beginning of the week, right? This is the beginning of the week. This is the first day of the week. So let's see. I'm gonna see what our if you'll remember, I got some CDs from the Roseki Arts Temple, so I thought we'd start off with one of their songs. So I just chose this one. It's called I Am a Shining Light. Nuku nuku amiku kemen keperu ementa heyu nuku e aminu enku amiku amenre tu. Oh, and I chose this orange flower because the gateway color is orange. Or movement, it's vibrant, it's energetic, even when it's, relaxed. Nuku e aminu enku amiku amenre tu aita aku tasineb. Nuku nuku amiku kemen keperu ementa heyu. Nuku e aminu enku amiku amenre tu aita aku tasineb. Nuku nuku amiku kemen keperu ementa heyu. Nuku e aminu. Alright, make your breathing deep. Try and bring yourself into this. And we can do our fire breathing now too. I'm gonna open my window so I don't make myself cough. Alright, breathe in deep all the way and hold for 10 seconds. And exhale. All right, we're going to try. Oh.
This is the ritual to the Netru, also called the opening of the way.
All right.
Face the east with your back straight and take some deep breaths to center yourself. We'll chant Ankh 3 times slowly. Cross your hands over your chest. And as we say the prayer, extend your hands in dua when saying dua enter.
We're just going to, you can do your fire breathing, you can do what she's doing, it's up to you.
Anatarak, Nebehet. Anuk, Nebehet. Anatarak, Happy. Anuk, Happy. Dua, Tur. Turn to the south. Anatarak, Circuit. Anuk, Circuit. Anatarak, Kepsenuf. Anuk, Kepsenuf. Dua, Tur. Turn to the west. Anatarak, Aset. Anuk, Aset. Anarak, Amset. Anuk, Amset.
Remember, when you're doing your rapid fire breathing, your belly should go out when you breathe in, and you fill up your body with air. Your belly should go in when you breathe out. So
Anuk,
you keep your hands here, you can feel it.
Anuk, Dua, Mutet. Dua, Tur. Face the east and raise your arms up for Nut. Anatarak, Nut. Anuk, Nut. Bend and touch the ground for Geb. Anatarak, Geb. Anuk, Geb. Dua, Tur. Turn in a circle to the right. Anatarak, Shu. Anuk, Shu. Turn in a circle to the left. Anatarak, Tefnut, Tefnut, Tefnut. Anuk, Tefnut, Tefnut, Tefnut. Dua, Tur. Arms above your head again. Anatarak, Po Netru. Anuk, Po Netru. Anatarak, Imbu Netru. Anuk, Imbu Netru. Dua, Tur.
Right. Oh. I'm getting used to these apps. I've never used this app before. Bandcamp. I'm new. Okay. And I thought I silenced my phone. Okay, so if you're just coming in, welcome again to the 16th Sacred Sister Circle, where we will be discussing sacred movement as well as a few other topics, always as usual. I'm the host, Sacred Woman Tahtahme, the Sacred Bruja, and I'm happy to have you. I'm hoping you're having a really wonderful day today. So, as I was explaining earlier, I have, had like kind of a crazier week. So Mostly, I just was thinking, I have like, our stuff together, but some stuff isn't, my usual level of meticulousness with stuff, which I think will be okay. Because I'm just like, maybe sometimes me being so meticulous about things causes me to be a little more dry and a little more like super like focused on the schedule, which is important, but it's also important that you guys are feeling engaged and, like I'm, talking to you, not at you. So, we'll see how today goes, and hopefully I won't have any problems with ads, but if we do, that's because I didn't get around to downloading songs like I usually do. Okay, so our theme today is too potent to be powerless. Um, we have too much, energy inside of us. We are too much. We're too great, even as a little individual, that we cannot feel powerless. We always have options, right? So that is our theme for today. And we're going to start off with the introduction to sacred movements, which is on page 184 of the Sacred Woman book, if you have it. Remember, you do not have to have any kind of literature for this sister circle, but if you are the type of person who likes to follow along, I try to tell you what book we're in and, where we're reading in it in case you have the book too. So, sacred movements elements are earth and air, which is really, I think it makes a lot of sense when you really think about it, because, with the earth, you always think about earthing, which is basically the practice of taking off your shoes and socks and walking outside in the earth and connecting energetically that way, letting yourself kind of drain and reconnect with the earth around you as absorb better energies. And it's just proven to make people feel better, and it's a wonderful way, especially when you're pagan dancing or ritualistically dancing, to take off your shoes and allow your feet to connect with the earth energetically, especially if you're doing stomping, which most African traditional dances tend to have stomping, tend to have that rhythm in them, because we did not tend to have, we have a lot of instruments, but like across the span of all of us, what we did do is the drums, we did have the rhythm, and that was always been a huge component in ritual and dancing. And it's just everything's kind of built around that usually. So that's kind of like the earth component. And then the air, I like air because it just brings to mind how gentle or how like rapid and torrid it can really be. So earth and air are the elements for this month. They're what you can kind of look at and think about when you're dancing, or when you're just out and about in your everyday life, when you're just moving, when you're thinking about keeping that solidness on the ground and that airy fluid grace up top. So sacred movement revitalizes the physical body, teaches us how to spiritualize matter. Through sacred movement, we learn that body, mind, and spirit are interrelated energy systems. By learning to harmonize our subtle energy systems through physical movement, we hold the key to accessing our spiritual body at will. If you're anxious and stressed, sacred movement can bring peace and composure. Sacred movement can empty the body of physical, emotional, and psychological waste. Fluid sacred movement creates harmony and flexibility in body, mind, and spirit. Sacred movement allows you to ground yourself and transcend yourself by permitting the body to become the bridge between heaven and earth. Gateway 3 sacred movement prevents premature aging by renewing ourselves and by helping to expand the lungs and relieve respiratory blockages such as asthma and emphysema. If your circulation is impaired, sacred movement helps restore the free flow of prana throughout your body. It also helps to break up cellulite and fatty tissue. For those who are hyper, sacred movement calms and balances, and for those with low energy, it renews and invigorates. Spiritual exercise of ascension are to be performed daily. Uh, for 7 days, the number of spirit. But remember, we always do ours for the full month. This will awaken your inner gateways of divinity so that you may blossom into your full sacred center. The sacred movement is also good for your digestion. It's good for thinking, clearing your head. It's good when you're angry. It's good when you're happy. It's good for so many reasons. And also, ritualistically, you can make spells with your dances. Obviously, you need to call on the ancestors and insert your energy into it. It's not really necessarily about doing a chosen move or a predetermined move, but sometimes it is. For example, with that, on new moons, if you'll remember, we all do womb yoga dance. So that's putting together poses and womb yoga poses and womb yoga dance poses to create a dance that we all are doing the same or similar movements. And then conversely, on the full moons, we just do pagan kind of wild dancing, feminine dancing, which is we're all dancing to the same music, but we're interpreting it our own way, using it in our own way. So in essence, basically, it's kind of however you get to decide how you're going to be using them, but it's a powerful thing that can be implemented into all facets. Now, sacred movement, as she was saying, is not only dancing, it's kind of into your everyday life, like we were saying. So when you're moving in your everyday life, you focusing on your posture? Is your posture graceful? Is your movements great? Are your movements graceful? And so what we'll be looking at all this month is not just dancing and putting aside time to love yourself in that way, but it also in just your everyday presence. Do you move in a sacred way? Do you, prepare your food? Or are you moving your hands in a sacred way with that as well? So, we'll continue on with this. She says, for your spiritual bath, we'll just be working all the way through, through the libations, just for the first page, just to start us off. So she says, for spiritual bath, she recommends bergamot essential oil to take you from an earth plane to a higher region. It's a very uplifting, refreshing, and encouraging smell, and increases your mental awareness. Bergamot is also known to relieve emotional deprivation, ease anxiety and depression, and grief and sadness. In the physical realm, it strengthens the immune system, aids in the healing of your wounds and scars, and has an antiseptic effect. Essentially, bergamot fills you with energy and inspiration and makes you want to leap up and dance. When using it in your bath, add 4 to 6 drops of bergamot to your bath water. Remember, you do not add the oil until the tub is nearly full. I'm sure that is a slip caution because oils can get really slippery if you go too overboard in your spiritual bath. But yeah, so that is also for when you're getting up early in the morning. You would, maybe take a spiritual bath beforehand. You can do that. Or some people like to take the bath after and use it to make them feel ready to continue their sacred movement throughout the day. And I can attest that definitely it does feel better when you're able to wake up early and do your sacred movement to start your day. It feels beautiful. It helps you day by day gain more control of your body and your movements, right? Most people don't just wake up and they're just graceful. They're just, it's like a ballerina, they don't just wake up and they're able to do these incredible things and look so graceful. A hula dancer, right? They don't just wake up and able to do insane moves with a beautiful smile on their face. It takes practice. It's daily putting an effort to move your body, control how it's moving, but also, be one with its movements. It's not just about controlling each little tiny movement, because then you'll probably not at all be graceful. But it's about, really connecting with each tiny part of your body. And, day by day, you grow better at it until, one day, 5 years from now, you look back and you just realize that your whole demeanor has changed because you've been taking those little pieces of effort all at all times. You know what I mean? So it's like it's a lifestyle, just like hoodoo. It's a lifestyle. So your altar. Some of you hopefully have a womb altar. Yours is probably not this big and ornate, but maybe it is. Maybe you're, finding that you're either like a womb practitioner, or you're finding that it's just a source of power for you, or you're deep in the midst of some serious healing, right? I have the womb healing workbooks on Amazon for the sexual abuse. And one of the things I say is, make an altar. And if you need a big altar to overcome trauma, or to overcome an illness that you've got going on, make yourself like a really big altar. And so it's something that you look at and think about daily. Like, there's no way I'm not going to see this and remember it and think about it, and go and spend time at it, all those little things. So you probably have one. Hopefully you also have an ancestor altar. So you set up the sacred altar on the first day of the entry to the gateway, so you can sit before your altar quietly, meditatively. You can add a few drops of bergamot to a baptism bowl. I don't usually keep water actively on my altar, mostly because I have the twins and they break into our room all the time. Somehow, it always happens. Somehow they get in here, and the first place they go is like over to my things, my altars. So I just don't keep water sitting here. But when you spend time meditating at your altar, you can definitely have a little bowl, and you'll put some water in it. And you can either, you can go on Amazon or wherever your local apothecary and get yourself some bergamot, or you can just, use an oil you've been infusing at home. This is going to look, kind of, I don't know what this is going to look like, me pulling this out randomly, but this empty bottle here. You take these and you just fill them with water. I mean, not water, sorry, oil. It's just an old, liquor bottle, and you just fill it with oil and infuse it. You can infuse it with pretty much anything. Make it personal. I mean, this is going to be an oil that you're using at your altar. And so this way, it's like you're not wasting money, $10, $20 every 30 days spending on these oils that you may not even like the smell of, or it may not even be something you super connect with. So you can just get an oil, like an olive oil or whatever, fill this up. Then you would put a cinnamon stick in there, put some rose, put all these little different things. That way you can put a small drop of your oil into your bowl, in your baptism bowl, stir it up, pray, and you'll have something to sprinkle over your head that morning. It's just a tiny ritual, and it will be, very beautiful, very personal, and you can just, you're recycling. And that will last you for a long time. You fill this up all the way with an oil, and it can be any oil, really. Most oils are fine for the skin, and just fill it up, put things in there that are fine to be on the skin, which most, I mean, you can look them up. There's a lot of things out there. Use, a mixture of live and dry, whatever you have. Put it in there, leave it in the sun by the window or outside for a little while, let it marinate in there, and you have a beautiful oil for you to use. And of course, pray over it, do ritual with it, all those beautiful things. But at the end of the day, it's not too logical to spend money on each of the little items in here. Unless it's something, unless bergamot sounds like something you're like, I really need that. That sounds like something I actually personally need. Then yes, you should definitely buy it. Okay, so moving to the opening of the gateway. oh, sorry, I forgot to finish the bergamot oil in the blessing. So you use your oil to anoint your crown, your forehead, your heart, and your womb area, the palms of your hands, and the bottoms of your feet. Okay. You'll do that. Again, you can do that before you like as your beginning ritual when you approach your womb altar. You'll take your oil, either it's a tiny oil, you got this big one, or you know what, like you probably end up doing is, straining it out of here or using a small bit at a time. That way you can put it inside of your baptism bowl. You put a small bit into a little bowl. This isn't really a bowl, but it's like something. You'll put it in and mix it up, swirl it up with your fingers, pray for a second. And you can say something when you're doing this. She says here that you're anointing your crown and your forehead, the body, temple, gateway of supreme spirituality. You're anointing your heart, which is the body, temple, gateway of compassion and divine love. You're doing your womb area, and this is the creative. The palms of your hands to make everything you touch become more sacred. The bottoms of your feet to spiritually align yourself for stepping out in power, promise, and faith. So you'll be doing that with the water is a blessing to yourself, or you can do it with the pure oil. It's personal preference, up to you. Let's see. So we're moving on to opening the gateway. So you can put your hands gently into an offering, or down, or on your womb, however you prefer. Sacred and divine Bess, awaken the ancient dancer in me to allow sacred movements to set my spirit free. May sacred movements leap me into pure exhilaration and stretch me to star Sirius in my inner galaxy. May my dance flush out my arteries, pump oxygen to my heart and my brain, detoxify my blood, lubricate my joints, and liberate my spirit. May my sacred movements bring my soul to life, my mind to rest, my heart to rest, and my being to light. Tahtahme. All praise and adoration to the spiritual guardian Bess, the protector of sacred movement. Ashe. All praise and adoration to the ancestors, the mothers of sacred movement, Josephine Baker and Pearl Primus. Ashe. All praise and adoration to the elders of sacred movement, Catherine Dunham and Carmen de Lavallette. All praise and adoration to my divine self and my contemporary divine sisters, Judith Jameson, Debbie Allen, and Queen Esther, who honored sacred movements. And praise and adoration to our own personal ancestors and family members who we know embody sacred movements and brought that tradition down with them and have spread it throughout the communities. Ashe. We're going to now say the Sacred Woman prayer. Sacred woman in the making, sacred woman reawaken. Sacred spirit, hold me near, protect me from all harm and fear beneath the stones of life. Direct my steps in the right way as I journey through this vision. Sacred spirit, surround me in your most absolute perfect light. Anoint me in your sacred purity, peace, and divine insight. Bless me, truly bless me as I share this sacred life. Teach me, sacred spirit, to be in tune with the universe. Teach me how to heal with the inner and outer elements of air, fire, water, and earth. Inspiring and enlivening Bess, guardian of sacred movements, fill me with your joyous spirit. May I feel your divine presence in every part of my body temple and coursing through my veins as I dance my gratitude for your sacred movement that renews my life force. I am a sacred woman. I am a sacred woman. I am a sacred woman. Okay, so we have already done our fire breathing during the meditation earlier. So now it is time for, I wanted to read a very amazing poem that I found. So for effect, let's see, we're going to try our hand at, I'm going to try and find us like some background music. We'll see how this goes. I don't know. I think this is fine. I think we're safe from advertisements. We'll hope. Okay. Oh wait. No. Let me find something else. I'm gonna try something else. Like I said, I didn't get to download what I usually. Huh. It's not right. All right, it's not totally on theme, but we're gonna go with it. Oh wait, no. Why do I keep putting my phone down? I keep closing what I need to open. Okay, so the poem we're reading is called "Have You Ever Seen an African Dance?" And it's by Jason Nkwain. And he was from Cameroon, and then he moved to America when he was like 13-ish. All right, have you ever seen an African dance? They say we dance like rivers, hands flowing north like Nile, like deserts do not surround us. They say we move too dynamic to be in disarray, too potent to be powerless, too spirited to be mummies, too vibrant to be starving. That seasons do not pass when drought tucks us into bed at night and famine like roosters crows emptiness into our mornings. They ask, how could dried up xylophones ring out such rich symphonies? And why is there so much life in that barren planet of a person? How does a man answer such questions? How does he breathe truth into the ignorant? So I answer with this simple question. Have you ever seen an African dance? Have you ever felt the music possess limb to limb, like there are angels having a feast in body? Spiritual movements paralyzing each vertebra from remote to rural. Have you ever seen an African dance? Have you ever sat in awe and watched the rhythm take flight in mind like rockets? Full orchestra playing Maat and forgetting that this man knows not piano, knows not of violas complementing violins, cellos, and double basses, nor does he know of the woodwinds and the brass or music sheets. All he knows is rhythm, how he composes symphonies with each movement, that raw, untainted, and unmastered rhythm that causes his feet to pound firm on the ground, crusty and cracked enough to build trenches, yet he stomps, forgetting that the soil can taste his blood. Does it taste like fear, like he knows that his barren soil will not produce for his family? Does it taste like negligence, like he willfully ignores his plight? Does it taste like cowardice, like he cringes at the sight of blood here in a bed? Does it taste like death? Does it taste like a plague? Does it taste like a curse? Does it taste plain and empty, like there's a zombie residing in his inner residence? Have you ever seen an African woman dance? Have you ever watched her hips steal the spotlight, gyrating in fervent excitement with each drumbeat? Smile synonymous to sun like she did not cry rivers last night, like the man who was meant for protection did not become a predator and her prey, like his flesh did not become prime and hers pillage for his desires. Watch her hips gyrate in pleasure like they did not gyrate in pain last night, like the beautiful earth around her waist did not crack and quake, like Armageddon, like she did not pay for her beauty with mundane beatings. Have you ever looked into the eyes of death and told her that there is something lively about her? Watch her hips gyrate in joy like they did not quiver at the sight of her sons 6 feet under. Watch her hips gyrate with so much freedom, like she did not know slavery too well. Have you ever seen an African king cry? Watch his tears dance down his cheeks in morbid helplessness? Galloping through the bed, farm wrinkles on his face as he watches his people dance on empty stomachs. He looks and notices that seas through vessels never looked so beautiful. The way the sun finds home in melanin. Skin never hugged bones with such force. Vicious plagues never plagued the place with such potency. Would you want to know his thoughts? Would you want to know the silence that dances inside? Would you want to know the nervous inferiority that causes his head and feet to nod and tap? Would you want to know that his throne carries no power? Because a seat is not a seat when faith is lacking. Would you want to know that he is king only by title because circumstance has stripped him to peasantry? Have you ever seen an African dance? Have you ever looked on in tears, heart skipping with smile, and said, this is beautiful, that this grace is worth glancing at twice when rain meets a sunny day? How his outro fades like the sun behind the mountain at dusk. How his movements are tears-filled praises, limbs telling folk tales worthy of the king's ears. To say that this dance brings our souls before God, how our knees kiss the floor in humility and our hands marry the sky in adoration, how our hearts pour out its supplication, that in the state of devotion we find faith, we find flaw, yet a blazing firefly still buzzes within. That we move like there's a solar flare skipping inside, that we dance because it frees the soul from this shackled flesh. We dance like it's our last for our legacies, our more genuine when painted on tainted canvas, for tomorrow may crumple this page with dementia, causing us to forget the heavenly joy that was pinned here tonight. To rest in our sleep and wake up anew, moving like pain did not sleep here tonight. So the next time you see an African dance, pause, take a moment, look closely, and maybe, just maybe, you might find the joy hiding in the crevice of our plight. Okay, I thought that was such a beautiful introduction to sacred movements. Our next piece is from a small book. I also got it. I told you last week about this little store in the Capitola Mall that's being run by the library, and they selling books for like $1 to like $3-4 each. So this is called Nightlight, a book of nighttime meditations. And when I opened it to my birthday, but the one that caught my attention was July 25th, which said, she had the quote, anyhow, I say, the God I've been praying and writing to is a man, and to act just like all the other men I know, trifling, forgetful, and low down. That was from The Color Purple. And so, okay, The Color Purple is a crazy book for me. When I was about 9 years old, I was still being, I'd already been abused sexually by my birth family, like, situation, various individuals allowed to abuse me or happened to abuse me. Then in my adopted family, my adoptive father was also a pedophile. So I was still living that nightmare at the time that I found The Color Purple. I was just walking by one of my mother's bookshelves, and, I'm not going to say she never read the book, but I'm going to say she was definitely the type who bought whatever was on Oprah's book club. You know what I mean? So that book caught my eye because I loved The Color Purple. That was my color. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. I would love to, read this book and see what this is about. So I was like, again, 8 or 9. That was the first time I ever heisted and took a book off the shelf that I knew I wasn't supposed to have. That wasn't mine. Took it, went to read it, brought it in my room. I'll be honest, I could only read and comprehend Celia's parts because, you know, it was written with, you know, a lower grade level. So I was just able to understand it. Her sister's parts, written at a much higher grade level, couldn't even get, you know, it was boring to me. You know, it had called out to me. It was just, you know, reading someone else's situation that's so similar to I am. In that way by a guardian, I think was one of the, you know, more connective experiences with the book that I had. So yeah, her thought process of I say to God I've been praying and writing to as a man and act just like all the other men's I know, trifling, forgetful, and low down. That one is such a good calling to you, not because, you know, it's just talking about the people around you, but it's actually addressing how do you perceive God, and is the God like, or not just God, but, you know, it's like the ancestors. Are you calling to this person, or are you calling to the ancestors? Which do you think will be more helpful to you? um, she says here, when many of us first came into the program and heard the words God or higher power, we may have wanted to walk out. We may have thought God as a kind of heavenly scorekeeper who lived by an eye for an eye or a tooth for a tooth. But we learned in the program that the higher power could be any image we chose. Some of us found this easier to picture a pleasurable image when we thought of God, such as a mountain stream. Others began conversing with an invisible friend. We learned any image is okay, as long as we believe a power greater than ourselves can restore our sanity or heal us. Some of us may still have trouble with the concept of a higher power. If we remember, we don't have to hold the negative images we grew up with. It may be easier to create a spiritual image with which we can be comfortable. Our higher power can be whatever or whomever we choose because this is a personal belief. Um, so we say to ourselves, I can remember my higher power is my personal belief, not a religious dogma. So in this group, I say we promote hoodoo, right? We pour libations to the ancestors. When we're stomping 3 times, we ring the bell 3 times. That's who we're calling. That's what we're talking about when we're praying. When we're talking about like spirits or anything of that nature, we're talking about the ancestors to the ancestors in this group. Obviously, your practice is probably a lot more nuanced, or maybe it's not, you know, but maybe you don't necessarily work with a god or goddess, or you don't like serve a god or goddess, you work with them. Sometimes they take over you. That happens for people. You know, for me, definitely I'll say I work in capacity with boss. It's like, you know, I'll do things for her as in, you know, favor, thank you, whatever. But I would say with us, it's more of, you know, I use that energy, or I can channel that energy within me. But for other people, it's more of a serving type of relationship, of prayer, of that sort of thing. And that's totally acceptable too. So for you, you know, I think it's best for it's, and also to keep in mind, you don't really have to advertise to everybody. You can just say, you know, you're spiritual, you're this, you're that. You don't really have to tell people all the subtle details of your spirituality. And in fact, you know, it may not even help you out if you're trying to explain all these details and levels to people who may not get it. So just keep in mind that it's totally okay to do your own thing, to find whatever works for you. For me, my namesake Tahtahme is actually was a nickname. I've said this story before in like sister circle number like 4 or something. Basically, back in the day, there was a very famous person we all know by the name of Mumusa, right? And Mumusa was a woman, like a priestess, an African priestess of high power, who, because of her spiritual nature, would get possessed by a spirit who everybody has general consensus classifies as Queen Nyabingi, the goddess, who was at one point a queen in the history and has been a goddess ever since. And basically, her spirit would meld together, and between the two of them, that's where the nickname Tahtahme came from, was when they were together doing their powerful stuff. But she also had a lot of other nicknames, which is why they're all more popular to me. So you probably heard of Mumusa, you probably heard of Naimingi, and so that's where that story comes from. But that is, just an example of the way that you can work with the spirit without necessarily serving that spirit in all capacity. Sometimes you just work well with certain spirits, and it's not really up to people to decide, oh, you chose that particular ancestor, how dare you, blah blah blah. It's, if you and that ancestor or that particular ancestor are cool, in this case that's specifically what occurred. They did call her the Amazon queen, which is categorically untrue. That's just something white people like to do. The Amazon, as we all know, is in South America. At no point until white people got there was Queen Nyabingi ever called anything close to the Amazon queen. That's just something white people kind of infiltrated into that area. So anyways, she was an ancestor queen who became, a goddess deity type figure, and eventually was channeling through Musa to help save, people, to inspire, to rally, revolution. She did end up, starting a lot of stuff, got captured at a relatively young age, lived till very old, but was locked up that entire time. But her work did end up inspiring a lot of revolutionaries. The anti-witchcraft laws were created basically because of her ability to create earthquakes. So, it can go as far in any direction as you want. It's really, I think a lot about being a sacred woman is, when they say staying in your center, it is about finding who you're comfortable being, what you're comfortable, expressing, and living in that truthfully, and not have to change it all up all the time, or at least trying to, manifest that state of serenity, so that, people aren't feeling like they need to question every little thing that you do, or you don't feel like you even need to explain to people, and people accept that you're not really explaining who you are, what your spirituality is, all that to anybody. So our activity today is a Lotus Hands movement meditation. So you can choose to sit, stand, squat, whatever it is that you're feeling. I'm going to drink a little bit. Oh, music first. Okay. I'm going to choose to sit today. With the sun and the lover of man and creation, she keep the love away. There we go. All right. Let's start with our shoulders.
Wise and knowledgeable. Here begins the hierarchy, the beginning of the fall.
Palms up, hands on the floor, and we'll rise them up slowly.
Then came the age, and the gods from the sky to earth came.
Cross them over and bring them back.
Came to her, found her beautiful, and tended her away.
Palms down now.
For the blade of power,
Let your body stretch, move slow.
tempting her with jewels of knowledge. To be a goddess,
Back. Stretch back. Keep your hands delicate. Move your hands back and forth back here. And back.
Using the power to play games with the gods, tipping the balance of the world. Shame on her, shame on her.
And let's bring our hands back down. Alright. We're going to be connecting our middle and our thumb fingers, because this is the lotus, right? When we do our lotus up here. That's how we're doing it. And we're doing this mostly. This is called the Shuni Mudra, I think. I don't know the words, how to say it, but I know this is the fire and connection elements for patience and discipline. Fingers connected. This isn't comfortable for you. You can just keep your hands loose. Let's move only the right hand.
The original woman, let the semen be in her body. Lover of man and creation, she keeper of the will. Then came the age when the tyrants of the God force rage. Danger fell on her, taking the voice of the mother away. Silencing her with the blade of
Let's use our
power.
other arm.
From the roots of truth,
Focus on
closing her sensual
grace,
body,
fluidity.
world of pain. Using the power to put to sleep the wisdom of her. Using the power to slave her to the life of the man, tipping the balance of the world. Shame on him. Sacrifice for the truth. She dies, compromise herself to live.
Right, let's go some big movements for the end.
Never die. She follows him into the mind. Sacrifice for the truth. She dies, compromise herself to live. Souls of her love never died, so she followed him into the mind.
All right, we are almost done for today, but we still have our 42 laws discussion, which today is I will not be an aggressor. And with that, we always think on moral terms, not on logical terms. So we ask ourselves, am I picking fights, right? Am I being an aggressor? Am I picking fights physically? Am I picking them online? Am I inviting chaos? Am I inserting myself into too much drama? Um, let's say, like, typically the issue is that when you're picking fights, you're often picking them with people who are a little bit weaker, especially when you're chronically doing it. You're doing it to people who can't fight back. You're doing it to people in situations where you think you'll win. You're doing it in situations where they don't even, it doesn't even really matter, but you're just trying to check it off on your list that you got somebody that got him. So, you just have to remember that that's not productive. You're not actually helping anybody with any of that. You're exhausting yourself. And many don't realize that they are inviting the problem in on themselves. Um, so, yeah, that is our discussion for the 42 laws. I will not be an aggressor. So, hopefully, we can start saying with Ernest, I really was not an aggressor today. I spent my time productively. I only argued or fought when it was necessary, or some great evil was afoot. But overall, I was not the aggressor. I was not the one, chomping at the bit trying to get at somebody else. So our gateway 3. Now I'm on the floor. I'm just not gonna move. We have page 188. She starts with let's see. Am I gonna do all that? I think I will. All right. So, sacred movement is the manifestation of the divine in action. It is filled with the divine spirit of the Most High. The original sacred movement presents itself to us when a baby is in the womb and its mother and her stomach move as the little one stretches and pulls as it grows. When the new returning ancestor is born, we watch in fascination at the tiny one's dance of grace, at the ease, the calm stretch of movements of arms and legs and the whole body. This is truly the dance of life. Whether we do or do not create sacred movements in our lives depends on how we think, our attitudes, our traditions, our cultural expressions, our language, our state of wellness or disease. Thoughts can birth us into sacred movement, which causes us to perform life as a sacred creative dance that heals. There are sacred movements that arise out of many cultures, such as Tai Chi from China, yoga from India, Caparillo from Brazil, and Native American ceremonial dances from the tribes of Turtle Island. Sacred movement ushers the breath of divine into us and makes our every step a prayer. Oh, I also want to add Turtle Island, if you don't know, is what the native people used to call North America. Sacred movement ushers the breath of the divine into us and makes our every step a sacred prayer. So when we walk in harmony with the divine, our walk becomes sacred movement. When we jog or work out at the gym with an attitude of prayer, it becomes sacred movement. When we climb mountains or walk through valleys or hug a tree or playfully run after a laughing child in a prayerful state, we're in the midst of sacred movement. Sacred movement puts a rhythm with a spirit of purpose and mission becomes sacred dance. As African people, we had a purpose stemming from our tradition in the form of birthing ceremonies, purification ceremonies, preparation for war, rites of passage ceremonies, marriages and funerals, and homecoming ceremonies. We use sacred dance to tell stories, give history lessons, and tell of our people's travel through time and space. Sacred dance is used to convey spirit and emotions when words are just not enough. Sacred movement and dance lift your spirit, inspire you to dance with divinity, heal your heart, nourish your body, enrich your life, and transform your woes. Everyone, no matter the condition of their body temple, can perform their sacred movements. When we still work and dance with our arms, and when we can't move our arms, we can dance with our head. And when we can't dance with our head, we can dance with our eyes. Even if we can't see, we can dance with our smiles. If the smile can't come through, you can simply dance with your heart. All right. Okay. I think that is all we're gonna read today. I know that like felt like nothing, but it still feels like we did a ton because we had the whole intro ceremony, all of that was going on. We're gonna be doing Sacred Movement Sunday, and that will be either uploaded at 5 or it goes live at 5. That's whatever. So if you have, the spirit is feeling good in you and you want to continue with this feeling and just, move and unleash some of this energy and get ready for the week as well as release the last week and just propel yourself into the week ahead. This is, a praise dance type of session. It will, be some type of movement every time. I'm going to be working at, getting myself and my kids outside every time. Today, that probably isn't going to happen just because it's getting really cloudy and I have a ton of homework to do. So anyways, please be sure to tell your friends about the Sister Circle so that they can join us too. Don't forget, if you haven't gotten the goddess cards yet, you should just download those goddess cards and make yourself a deck. I'm going to go through them with you guys. I think I have all of them in here. Let's hope. This is Sacred Woman card. There you go. It's our sacred woman. Look at her. She's got the lotus blossoming on her head, the ascension. Isn't she amazing? We have, our bast or bastet. I think this is Inanna, if I remember correctly. And these are all featuring, vintage pictures of Black women from our communities. Zuli Frida. Isn't she amazing? Mami Wata. Isis. You can see Diana Ross there. And don't I have Asasaya? There you go. And I'm going to be making another deck. I have one already with Pearl Primus, and I'm so sad that I have it, but I just I didn't make her for this deck. Now I feel all betrayed. Agun, Ancestors. It's Aunt Lucy. She was one of the final slaves freed from, I believe, Jefferson's. Maybe it was Washington, I'm not sure. And our last, Zilly. I think this is, wait, is this one Frida Dancer? I'm not even that good at this anymore. I don't know what I'm doing. My brain is in another place. But anyways, you guys, you can download them, print them, decorate the back. There's 3 extra ones for you to decorate by yourself. Add whatever goddesses you need. And yeah, use them for your divination, your personal meditation. Put them on your home altar. Use them for your clients. I don't know, whatever you do in your free time, that's what you should be doing.